Hello developers, this tutorial is about how we can load or embed a web page in our Flutter application using WebView Flutter package. So why we are using WebView Flutter, not this URL launcher? So first thing, if you just need to open a URL in your Flutter app, then you can go with this URL launcher and it will simply give you option to launch the URL, and it will launch the URL in the default browser that is in your smartphone. So if you just want to open URL, you don't want any control over that web page, then you can just simply use this URL launcher. It's simple to use. The main difference between this WebView Flutter and URL launcher is that with WebView Flutter we load that URL within our application. Like you can load that URL or web page within a widget in half of your screen or in a container. Like you have full control over that web page, like what is the next of web page, which URL you are loading, you can refresh, you can clear cache, you can disable JavaScript. So kind of you have a mini browser within your Flutter application. So that was the first thing that we need to understand, like do we really need WebView Flutter or our work can be done with just URL launcher. So with that, let's start coding. So let me open my VS Code and emulator, and as you can see I am already running this application. There is nothing, just a main of the start of the application, and here is this material app and this is the sized box. That's why you can see in the emulator there is nothing, just a blank. So instead of sized box we will create a web page. Let's create a new file, web page .dart, and let's create a stateless widget, and it is already web page, so let's import the material.dart. okay, and now import that web page here, and inside this web page here, instead of container, scaffold, and inside body return a column. Now as you can see, because we have scaffold, we can see this white screen and there is nothing in column. So now what we want just to load a web page. So just the simplest version of loading a web page. So before that you need to add this package in your dependency if you haven't added. So just copy it and paste it inside your pubspec.yaml file here, or you can also run flutter pub add this WebView Flutter, so it will add the latest version. So once you added that, if you are already running the application, then stop it and then run it again, because sometimes it will not work if you add a package in between and then try to hot reload or hot restart. So once this package is added in your dependency, you can use this WebView Flutter. So let me copy this thing. So inside the scaffold body, let's directly use that widget, a WebView widget, and to use that we need to import that package. Controller, you can just copy paste this entire thing that is here, WebView controller till end. Okay, let's reload and wait for the web page to be loaded. Wahoo, we have successfully loaded this flutter.dev in our application. Don't worry, I will explain like what I did in this code. So that was the quickest method of loading a web page. Like there is nothing, just you are loading a web page. But as in the starting of video I told, the purpose of this package is not to just load or display a web page. We have full control over it and we can display it in a desired layout where we want to load it. So for that I'm going to create kind of mini browser thing. So let's remove everything from this, and in body I will use a column, and I will make this stateless widget to stateful widget because I need some state variables here. Okay, so what I need first, I will initialize controller here. So here is the WebView controller that we need to assign to that WebView widget that we are using from this package. And secondly, I need a string title, page title, let's say string page title is equal to initially title will be just a dash, and we need boolean, not boolean actually, we need double progress, and initially it will be 0. Inside the init state we will initialize the web view. So init state, and here let's initialize the web view. So here we can write controller double dot set JavaScript mode. So with this JavaScript mode you can enable or disable JavaScript. So for example, if you want to disable the JavaScript, so you can write JavaScript mode dot disable, so it will block the JavaScript. And then you can write dot dot load, and you have these kind of things to load. You can load the page from a file. If you want to load the web page from asset, you can use this load asset. And if you want to load the string, so with load HTML string you can write HTML code here directly and load that, and with load request we can load the simply URL. And for URL we need to write in this format URI.parse and then the URL. Okay, so that's it. Now we can use that widget here inside this column web view widget, and in the controller we need to assign that controller, and that's it. But if you will use this web view widget inside this column, you will get layout error because we need to give it a fixed height. So let's fix it in a expanded widget. Okay, now let's see. You can see now Google is loaded instantly. Now let's format it. Okay, but you can see this is going outside, so let's wrap this column with safe area. Wrap with budget safe area. Okay, fine. So now this time JavaScript was disabled. You can see this is not working, right? Because this JavaScript disabled. That's why you will see any of the functionality here that is dependent on JavaScript is not working. You cannot see that drawer menu. But if I will enable it, or I will not enable it, by default it is unrestricted, I think. So then we can click on it. So let me hot restart it. Okay, it's loaded again, and let's click on it. As you can see, because this time we are not disabling the JavaScript, that's why we can see this is coming with this click functionality. So that was the JavaScript mode. So here we get some other values like set background color. With this you can set the background color, and with this set navigation delegate you can actually get some progress, like what is the progress, each page loading done, so that kind of stuff. So let's use this because this is very important if you are loading any page. So here I need to pass navigation delegate, and in this navigation delegate you get bunch of options on page start, on page progress. So you can see I'm using GitHub Copilot, it's suggesting everything, but let me write it first. Let's write this on progress, and here we will update the progress to progress. That kind of is we get with GitHub Copilot. So on progress it will give here a progress, like what is the current progress of this web page that is loading, and we are updating the not actually this dot progress. Fine. And here you can say on page started, if the loading started, then we will update this page title to loading, and if that is finished, on page finished, then also we get the URL. So this time we can update the page title with the URL. So set state page title equal to URL, and progress equal to 0, because once the page is loaded fully we want to reset the progress. And you get other options like on navigation request or on URL change, on web resource error. So if you want to use, you can use these kind of features available here. On navigation request, this is very interesting. You can use this to actually block some URLs. Like if you want to block YouTube should not open in that web view, then you can use this on navigation request, and here if URL starts with, let's say I want to block youtube.com. okay, so let's copy this and here write youtube.com. if it starts with youtube.com, then we will block it, else we will just return navigation.navigate. it will navigate. So similarly, you can write your own custom logic to block bunch of URLs or websites that you want. Let's test this feature. Okay, so from here let's try to visit YouTube. As you can see, nothing is happening because this request is preventing it. That's why we cannot visit this youtube.com, because we are using here prevent. And if you will use here navigate, then it will open the YouTube here. Let's see, I think it's loaded the earlier version, so let's hot restart. Okay, now let's try to open YouTube. As you can see, now YouTube is loaded. Now let's use this page title here. So inside the column here, I want to show the title. So here is the page title. As you can see, now it's coming google.com because we are showing the current URL is page title. And below this title, we want to say a progress bar, like what is the current progress of the web page. Okay, so for the progress bar, I have added this linear progress indicator. Value will be the progress, and value color I have changed it to green, and this background color with some opacity, green with some opacity. And now you can see by default it's visible always, but we don't want to make it visible always. It should be visible only when it is loading. So for that, let's add a simple check, like if progress is greater than 0 and progress is less than 1, then only we will show that loading bar. And how we are updating that loading bar? If on progress of this navigation delegate, we are updating this progress to progress, and on page finished, when that is finished, we are resetting it back to 0. And one thing we are missing here is that if you will set progress here, progress will come in 0 to 100, but for that linear progress we need something between 0 to 1. So let's divide it by 100. Okay, why we are getting error? Let's see. Here is the problem, like we have used the same variable name here, and this on progress variable name is also progress. That's why it is conflicting. So let's write it P and here P. Okay, now we are good with progress. So let's test it. And now let's load something else like YouTube. Okay, that is still not visible. Let me hot restart. Okay, so as you can see, now this is updating. Let's open some other thing like this Google News. As you can see, this progress bar, it is moving forward, and that when it is loaded, it is not showing the progress bar. So now progress and page title is also fine. You can see the title now. So if I will go back to Google, you can see loading and then URL is updated. Okay, so now the last thing that is left is showing here a back button, forward button, here a reload button, and here a clear cache button. So for that, let's create a new row after this WebView widget. Row, and in children, icon button on pressed, and here icon start arrow, back. Let's format this code, and similarly we need 3 more icons, so I'm going to copy this. Here will be the reload, replay outline, okay, it will be reload, arrow here, not arrow here, delete, and here arrow forward. So now we have these 4 icons. Let's make main axis alignment edge, main axis alignment dot space between. Okay, now it looks good. And now let's implement this click functionality. Let's add a const everywhere. So on pressed, here we want async and we want to go it back. So as you can see, suggestion from this copilot, if controller dot can go back, then we need to call this controller dot go back. That's it. And similarly, I need to add this async, because to check the condition we need to write await. So await extra brackets from copilot. Okay, await controller dot can go forward, then go forward. But as you can see, copilot predicted wrong. This is for forward, not for this replay. So it will be used in this one, forward one. Async. And here we need controller dot reload. Also we do not need this async, or you want to write await, you can write, but that doesn't make sense. Just controller dot reload. And here on delete, similarly controller dot clear cache. So before writing this clear cache, I wanted to highlight some other features available here, like you have option to clear local storage. You can get current URL using the dot current URL, or you can get here bunch of options. You can see like current URL, enable zoom, get title, get user agent, go back, forward, load file, the bunch of things you get from this controller. So here we need clear cache. Okay, so now let's reload it. Now let's try it. I'm going to first reload. So as you can see, it is loading and page is loaded. Now let's clear the cache. So it will load slowly. So cache is cleared. Now let's reload. As you can see, this time it is taking time to load because we cleared the cache. And let's go forward on this new application. So we are here on this Google News. Now let's click on this go back. As you can see, it is coming back. Now it is back, and now let's try this forward. It is going forward, and we are back on this. We are forward on this. These were the things that I thought will be useful for you. So you can explore more about this WebView Flutter going through the documentation, or from this example you can learn a whole bunch of stuff, like how you can load a string web page, how you can load a HTML code, how can you load a HTML file. So there are a bunch of things you can learn by yourself. I hope you will find this video helpful. Please make sure to like and subscribe.